Hi, I'm Alexander Maxim from Ethiopian IO. Today we will continue our series about PHP. We will check the array replace, array values, array slice, and array intersect methods. Let's start with the array replace method. What's the array replace? This method replaces the values of array 1 with values that have the same keys in each of the following arrays. If there is a key from the first array in the second array, its value is replaced by the corresponding key value of the second array. If the key is in the second array and not in the first array, it will be created in the first array. If a key exists only in the first array, it will stay as is. If multiple replacement arrays are passed, they will be processed in order and subsequent arrays overwrite the previous values. The array replace method is not recursive. The values in the first array will be replaced by any type in the second array. It has at least two arrays as parameters: the array in which the elements will be replaced and the array from which the elements are extracted. The method returns an array or the null value if an error occurs. Let's take an example to understand what's the array replace method. We will use the echo h3 elements array replace as title. Then I will create an array of team. It's an associative array. So we have an array, team array. We have 5 persons. Each person has a name: person 1 Alexander, person 2 Alex, etc. to person 5 Ismail. I will use echo to print pre tag. Then I will use print r to print our array. Let's reload and see the results. So we have the array place. We have our array: person 1, person 2, person 3, person 4, and person 5 Alexander, etc. So I want to replace some elements or some names from this array. I want to change the person 1. I want to change Alexander, for example, by another person, and for that I need to use the array replace method. But firstly, let's create the replaced array or replaced team. It's another array. So in the replaced team we have person 1 Michael, person 2 is Gabriel, or let's change it to person 5. I want now to change the person 1 in the team array by this person 1 in the placed team. So I want to change Alexander by Michael and Mike by Gabriel. And to do that, we need to use the array replace method. We have at least 2 arrays as parameters. Let's pass the first array as parameter, which is team. I want to replace this array by the replaced team array. But this method will return an array, and I want to print this array. For that, I need to use the print r method to print the result. Let's reload and see, and we have the second array or the replaced array. Here we have Alexander in our normal array, in our team array, but using the array replace, I have changed the person 1 Alexander by Michael and Mike by Gabriel. And let's see the results. So we have Alexander is Michael here, and Gabriel and Mike is Gabriel in this array. Let's see how this method works. So we have the array replace method. We have at least two arrays as parameters. So we have the first array, array 1 and array 2, and we have the result array that will return this method. We have the key and the value, and here the key and the value. So the array replace will check if there is elements in the first array. Yes, we have elements. It will get this key and search inside this array. If there is key in there is this key in the array 2, we have nothing, so it will get this all these elements and make it in the result array. So we have the key and the value exists in the first array. We have the next element key 2, so we have key 2 in the array 2. When the method searches in array 2, it will find the key 2 element. It will change, so we have here value 2 and here value. It will get this element and make it in the result array. Why? Because here it will replace the key 2 element, this element with the key 2 by this value 2. So here we have the value and here we have value 2. Using the array replace, it will get this value and make it in the result to replace this element by this element here. We have the next element k3. K3 not exists in the array 2 so it will make, or it will get the array, the k3 with the value here in the result array. Key 4 exists in array 2 when it searches for this key, so it will get this value, it will replace this value by this value here of the key 4 and get the result in the resulting array. Key 5, the same thing, we have the key 5 in the array 2. It will get the key 5 with the value 5, it will replace the value here of the array 1. If we have another key here, key 6, it will create this array after all the elements exist in the resulting array. And like that, the array replace method works. After that, we have the array values method. What's the array values method? This function or this method returns all values of the array elements and recalculates the array numerically. It has the array as parameter and it returns an array of values. Let's take an example to understand how the array values works. So let's copy this title and we have the array values method. I will create an array of languages. So we have an array of languages, we have the keys and the values. So the key of the English language is EN, French language is FR, and Spanish language is SP. So these are the keys and these are the values. I want to get these values using the array values method. Let's use the print r because the array values returns an array. So let's use the print r method and use the array values method. We will pass the languages as parameter, but firstly I will print also our languages array to see the difference between the first and the second array. Let's reload and see the results. Array values, this is our array. We have the EN, FR, SP as keys and English, French, Spanish as values. Here the array values returns all the values exists in our languages array, but the indexes are from 0 to 2. So it returns an indexed array with the values exists in our original array. Let's see how it works. So we have an array and we have some keys and values. Here we have 4 elements. When we pass this array as parameter, we'll check firstly if there is elements in our array. Yes, we have 4 elements. So we'll get this value in the first element and make it in the resulting array and give to it the index 0. So the first here index, or let's see, in the first position with the index 0 in the indexed array. So for the first value, it will get the index number 0. It will search again if there is another element, so it will take this value and make it here and give to it, and it will give to it the index number 1. This is the second element and the index number 1, and the same for the third and fourth elements. It will get the value and give it, and it will give to it the index number 2 and 3. So it will start from 0 to the last element because it returns an indexed array. This is the array values method. After the array values method, we have the array slice method. What's the array slice method? This method returns a set of successive elements of the array as specified by the offset and length parameters. It has 4 parameters. The array is the first parameter. The second parameter is the offset. If the offset coefficient is not negative, the relay will start from the beginning of the array. If the offset is negative, the relay will start from the end of the array. The third parameter is the length. If the length coefficient is positive, the number of consecutive elements is equal. If the array is shorter than the length, only the available array elements will be returned. If the length is negative, the sequence will stop at the number of elements descending from the end of the array. If you don't specify the value of this optional parameter, the sequence will be made up all elements from offset to the end of the array. The fourth parameter is the preverse key. The array slice will reorder and set the numeric array pointers by default, but we can change this behavior by setting the value of the reverse key or the preverse key parameter to true. The method returns a portion of the array. If the offset coefficient is greater than the size, the function returns an empty array. Let's take an example to understand the array slice method. So let's copy this title and change the array values to array slice. Then I need to create an array of team slice. It's an array. So we have our team: Alexander, Alex, John, Arden, and Mike. I want to print this team. Let's reload and see. So we have Alexander, Alex, John, Arden, and Mike. We have 5 elements. It's an indexed array from 0 to 4. Now let's use the array slice method. So we have 4 parameters. Let's firstly test our first and second parameters. So we will pass the array as parameters. So we have team s, and the offset or the start index I will for example set it to 0. Let's reload and see, and you have this is our array and this is our array after the array slice method. So it's the same array. Great. Let's change it to 3. What will happen? So we have just 2 elements. Why? Because we have changed the start index to the index number 3. So this is index number 0, number 1, number 2, and this is the index number 3. So it will start from this index and give to us, and it will give to us all the elements after this element. So we have Arden and Mike. Great. If we make it to if we change it to 2, for example, it will start from the second. So when we reload, we have the second, it will start from the second. We have John, Arden, and Mike. If we change it to -2, let's reload and see. We have Arden and Mike. Why? Because it has started from the last, so this is -1 and this is -2, and we have Arden and Mike. So this is the first parameter, or the second parameter, which is the offset. Let's make it 0 and change the size to 2 elements. Let's reload and see. We have Alexander and Alex. Why? Because the starting index is 0. This is the second parameter, is 0. And the size that I want to get is 2. So it will start from this index and gives to us 2 elements, or the number or the size as a number of elements in the resulting array. If we change the size to 3, we will get Alexander, Alex, and John. Alexander, Alex, and John. If we change the offset to 1, we will get Alex and John and Arden. So we have Alex, John, and Arden. Let's see how it works. The array slice method. So we have 2 types. The first, the array and the start index or the offset, and the second, the start index and the length. So we have 2 arrays, array 1. So we have 1 array and 2 resulting arrays, result 1 and result 2. These are our elements. We have 4 elements. If we apply the first method, so we have the array as parameter and the start index is 2. So we will start from the second, or the index number 2. This is the index number 0, 1, and 2. So it will start from this and get all the elements from this and after this element. So we'll get this result, key 3 and key 4, because we have started from key 3, because we have started from the second, or the index number 2. If we apply the array slice here, the array slice with 3 parameters, it will start from 0, the index 0, and get 2 elements like that. This is the result. The key 1 is the first, is the index number 0, and key 2 is the index number 1 here in this array. So we will get this result because we fixed the start index to 0 and the size to 2. We will get the size of the resulting array equal to 2. This is the slice method. After that, we have the array intersect method. What's the array intersect method? This function or this method returns all array 1 values in all other arrays. Note that the function preserves the keys associated with the returned values. It has at least 2 arrays as parameter and it returns an array. Let's see an example to understand the array intersect method. So we will check this title, array intersect. Then I will create 2 arrays, group 1 and group 2. So we have 2 arrays, group 1 and group 2. We have 5 persons in group 1 and 2 persons in group 2. So we have person 1 and person 3 in group 2, and person 1, person 2, person 3, etc. to person 5 in group 1. I want to use the array intersect, but what the array intersect does, it will return all elements exists in the first array and in the second array. So we pass 2 arrays as parameter at least to this method, and it will return an array has all the elements exists in this array and in this array. Before starting this operation, let's see what the elements exist in this array and this array. So we have person 1 exists in the first and in the second array, and also person 3 exists in the array 1 and array 2. Let's use the print r and array intersect. We have two arrays, group 1 and group 2. And let's reload and see the results. So we have person 1 and person 3. Let's add, for example, person 6. We will get person 1 and person 3. Why? Because person 6 not exists in group 1. So let's see how it works. We have two arrays and the resultant array. We have array intersect. We will pass the array 1 and array 2 as parameters. It will check if key 1 and value exists in this array. Yes, it exists in this array. It will get this element and make it in the resultant array. It will check if the second element exists. It's not exists, so it will ignore this element. Key 3 exists in this array, and in this array it will get this value and make it as result in the resultant array. Key 5 not exists. Key 4 not exists, so key 5 exists just in array 1 and key 4 exists just in array 2. So it will return this array only. Let's use circle to understand more. So we have, this is the first array and this is the second array. We have elements here in the first array and in the second array. The array intersects will get just the elements exists here in the first and in the second array. It will get these elements in this area here. This is the array intersect, and this is the array intersect, and this is what it does. So today we have learned the array replace, array values, array slice, and array intersect methods. Thank you for your watch.